Sleep is not rest. It is a workshop. And when you carry noise, fear, and borrowed opinions into that room, your future walks out poorer than your past. Every night, your head touches the pillow, but your mind does not lie down. It keeps painting. It keeps choosing. It keeps building. And most people never notice it. They think the day shapes the life. It does not. The night completes the design. You close your eyes with 1,000 fragments in you. A headline, a grievance, a comparison, a regret, a face you envy, a sentence you should have said, a fear about money, a fear about time, a fear that maybe you are already late. Then you fall asleep inside that storm, and you wonder why you keep waking up tired before the day has even begun. Now here's the truth. Your problem is not that you need more sleep. Your problem is that your mind has been going to war every night and calling it rest. You are not losing your life only in the loud hours. You are losing it in the silent ones, in the final 10 minutes before unconsciousness, in the unguarded surrender, in the moment when the gate is open and anything can walk in. Think of the cost. 7 nights become 30. 30 become a year. A year becomes a temperament. A temperament becomes a destiny. You do not merely wake up groggy. You wake up slightly more doubtful, slightly more scattered, slightly less dangerous to the life you say you want. And that is how whole futures disappear. Not in one explosion, in a slow leak, in mental drift, in 1,000 unexamined evenings. But here's the truth. This can change fast. Not because magic is coming, because your mind is trainable, because thought is a muscle being trained, because your inner world, like a blade being sharpened, responds to repeated pressure. Because if you can direct the last movement of consciousness for 7 nights, you can begin rebuilding the architecture of your character. Pause. The mind you sleep with becomes the life you wake to. That is the law. That is the thesis. That is the warning and the promise. The mind you sleep with becomes the life you wake to. Not sometimes, always. If you sleep inside resentment, you wake with heavier hands. If you sleep inside purpose, you rise with cleaner sight. If you sleep inside self-contempt, the day feels like punishment. If you sleep inside self-command, the day begins to obey. So for the next 7 nights, I want you to stop treating bedtime like collapse. Treat it like construction. Treat it like a private meeting with your future. Treat it like the final vote you cast before tomorrow is born. On the first night, guard the final thought. Most people believe sleep interrupts thought. It does not. It seals it. It presses the final image deeper, like a signet ring pressed into hot wax. That last thought is not a whisper. It is an instruction. Edwin C. Barnes understood this before he ever had power, position, or proof. He was not yet Edison's partner. He was a poor man with ordinary clothes and an extraordinary decision. When he traveled to meet Edison, he did not carry a resume in his spirit. He carried one burning sentence. He would become the man's business partner. Not his clerk, not his admirer, not a spectator standing outside the gate. A partner. That decision was not an afternoon excitement. It was a dominating thought. A thought so steady it pulled him forward like a magnet drawing iron toward it. He looked ridiculous to others. History often looks ridiculous in its early close. But Barnes had learned something that most grown men never learn. A mind that holds one clear image long enough begins to organize life around it. Here's the thing. History remembers a few. It remembers the ones who stopped letting stray thoughts rent space in the throne room of the mind. Tonight, before sleep, write one sentence. Only one. Make it clear. Make it commanding. I am rebuilding my mind, and my life will obey that rebuild. Read it 3 times. Slowly. Not like a wish, like an order. Then let that be the final thing you carry across the bridge into sleep. No scrolling after it. No gossip after it. No panic after it. Pause. Last thought. First destiny.
On the second night, starve the night of poison. People think exhaustion creates sleep. It does not. Overstimulation creates surrender. That is different. A man can knock himself unconscious and still wake up defeated. Because the mind keeps eating after the body stops moving. What you consume at night becomes the soil in which tomorrow's mood grows. And if your final diet is outrage, envy, noise, and cheap distraction, do not be surprised when your mind becomes a garden full of weeds. Walt Disney spent years being dismissed as unrealistic. People saw cartoons. He saw kingdoms. They saw paper sketches. He saw emotional architecture. A castle before there was a castle. A world before there was land for it. He was not merely drawing with ink. He was using inner paintbrushes, painting on a canvas no one else could yet see. That is why criticism could not finally stop him. His imagination had been fed too well. He did not let the night belong to smaller minds. The truth is simple. A protected imagination becomes a protected future. So tonight, perform an audit. 30 minutes before sleep, turn off the fire hose. No doom. No envy. No argument. No endless flood of other people's emergencies. Let the room become quieter than your fear. If you fail and reach again for noise, count yourself as a failure only in this sense. The moment you fail to recover, put the phone down again. Recover quickly. That is victory. You are not trying to be perfect. You are training the gatekeeper. Pause. What enters at night governs the morning. On the fifth night, count what remains. Many people think gratitude is soft. It is not soft. It is stabilizing. It is not sentiment. It is alignment. A person drowning in lack cannot think clearly enough to build abundance. That mind is too busy bleeding. Gratitude closes the wound. Helen Keller lived in a darkness most people cannot imagine, and yet when language finally broke through that sealed world at the water pump, the universe did not merely give her words. It gave her relation, meaning, contact, a way to stand inside reality with awakened perception. From that point forward, limitation did not disappear, but interpretation changed. And interpretation is often the hinge on which human destiny swings. You do not need more things tonight. You need cleaner sight. You need to stop ending the day like a beggar standing before life's closed door. You need to see what is still in your hands. Your breath, your will, your chance, your memory, your body, your unfinished future. Name 3 things tonight. Only 3. But name them slowly. I am grateful for my mind because it can still be retrained. I am grateful for this day because it gave me one more chance to practice command. I am grateful for tomorrow because it has not yet been written. Feel the shift? The truth is simple. A grateful mind falls asleep in strength, not scarcity. Pause. What you honor expands in you. On the 6th night, cut comparison at the root. Most people think comparison makes them ambitious. Usually it makes them fractured. Comparison is a thief that robs you of joy and clouds your mind. It steals 2 things at once, your peace and your pace. Then it hands you a counterfeit energy that feels like urgency but behaves like panic. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire and still had to rule himself. That was the greater task. He lived among noise, vanity, status, gossip, ambition, betrayal, and spectacle. Yet, he kept returning inward to one command: hold your own mind. Do your work. Keep your character. Do not live by applause. Do not sink by insult. That is kingship, not the crown. The inner government. You may not sit on a throne of gold, but you do sit on a throne more important than that. The seat of interpretation, the seat of decision, the seat from which your life is either governed or abandoned. Validation begins within. You are the center of your universe. Never forget it. That does not mean selfishness. It means responsibility. It means you must reclaim the throne of your own mind. Tonight, before sleep, name the comparisons that poisoned you today. Name them plainly. Their body, their income, their speed, their audience. their relationship. Then say this: that path is not mine. My work is mine. My pace is mine. My becoming is mine. And let those other lives leave your room. Pause. Comparison scatters. Self-command gathers.